Oh, baby. Alright. Uh, this is required watching, where we watch the essential films from a list of cinematic influencers and look at them through the lens of learning about filmmaking and how to move forward. I'm your host, Trey Epps, and this movie was directed by Chris McKay, written by Ryan Ridley, and story by Robert Kirkman. Yes, Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman. This movie is about Renfield, Dracula's henchman and inmate at a lunatic asylum for decades, long for a life from the Count. His various demands and all of his bloodshed that comes with it. This is Renfield. I'll make this one really, really quick. I happened to watch this randomly because of the people that was in it. I love Ben Schwartz so much, and I've done improv at UCB, and if you are unaware of improv in general, or if you are and you're kind of a bit curious about what improv is, please go to Netflix and watch Schwartz and Middleditch. It's a 3 episode, it's live, but it's been taped in New York, and it's improv. It's 3 nights of improv, and it's fantastic. So please go watch it. I will link it below. Anyways, I love Ben Schwartz so much that I needed to watch this film just to see him in it. And that's how devoted of a person I am. I also I actually coming into my own with Nick Cage. I think I really loved him in the '90s, and I've seen him in things right now. And I feel like I'm now understanding Nick Cage as an actor. And Nicholas Hoult, who was in Skins. If you haven't seen Skins, stop right now and watch Skins. Anyways, it kind of became a perfect story of people that I was really, really into. So I needed to see this film. But the reason this film even came together was because the whole monster universe, Invisible Man, Dracula, Werewolf, Frankenstein, that's a cinematic universe, or it was going to be, mummies in it as well. But it all got axed because certain movies have done very poorly at the box office. But in 2020, Lee Whannell's The Invisible Man became a commercial and critical success for Universal, and it served as a relaunch to the monster universe. And this movie was the way in for Dracula. Now, I think this is meant to be a comedy, and it is. But the question is, what is funny? What is meant to be funny? I feel like it took me a couple days to think about some of the things I saw in this film to not get the humor as much as I was trying to understand why anyone thought some of this was funny. I think a major point of this film that is lost upon me is the fact that Nicolas Cage is a supporting actor. He's a supporting character. He's not, despite being Dracula. This movie is called Renfield, so Nicholas Hoult is a protagonist in this film. Which I actually think is a mistake. I think there's so much more that could have been done with Nicolas Cage, and I feel like there could have been so much more that could have played into this. If you're asking me, and I know no one is, I think the more buddy, if it was a buddy action, or not buddy comedy, but buddy action setup where Renfield and Dracula are kind of going about town and running through the ages doing their thing together, and then there was this massive turn where they become enemies and have this big face off, and maybe there's a hunt, or maybe there's he has to run away or something else where it could have felt a bit more grounded, I suppose. I think I was missing the relationships between Renfield and Dracula because it kind of really swam by in the very beginning, and we just didn't get much more after that, and I think that is a shame. And I think it got really bogged down with Awkwafina's character, who I'm falling more and more out of love with as an actress. I'm truly trying to examine why. I think it has a lot to do with her initial outing as a rapper in Black Scent, and trying to understand Black Scent in reference to how black and gay culture seemingly gets co-opted every 2 seconds, and I'm really trying to grapple with that, to be perfectly honest. So I I look at that relationship between Renfield and Aquafina's character to be a bit useless. There's like this whole like gangster thing that's happening with the Lobos that I don't know if I understand. Also, the cops are in with the gangsters. It's just, it feels so bogged down that I think what really should have happened is even if it's because of budget, I think there could have been a lot of fun with Nicolas Cage's outrageous and scary, because he is both. I think he's actually really good in this. Outrageous and scary, like Dracula, along with like Nick Holt's like submissive Renfield, and watch him slowly, for whatever reason, gain that confidence in order to break that relationship. And then whether or not that's Ben Schwartz's character, Aquafina's character, then becoming, the partner that Renfield wanted. Whatever. Yeah, I assume there would have been a lot to play with, and I'm not sure where I'm not at fault. I think people generally think this movie is okay, and it's a bit mindless and dumb. But I think if we're trying to insert this into a cinematic universe, then I think there's a lot of work that should have been done. So again, keeping things super short. Let's get into some fun facts. Okay, so despite a history of turning down non-leading roles in studio films, Nicolas Cage signed on to play Dracula because it was a lifelong dream of his to portray the legendary figure. While we were promoting Season of the Witch, Nicolas Cage said his love for his co-star Sir Christopher Lee is the reason that he makes horror movies, and Lee is considered one of the best actors to portray Dracula on screen. Cage called him his favorite Dracula. Nicolas Cage's uncle, and if you didn't know this, yes, his uncle, Francis Ford Coppola, directed Dracula in 1982. The studio wanted Cage instead of Keanu Reeves to play Jonathan Harker, but Coppola did not want to work with him after their bad experience and Peggy Sue got married. Renfield syndrome, also known as clinical vampirism, is a rare psychotic disorder where an individual has intense fascination with drinking blood or believing themselves to be a vampire. This syndrome is named after the character R.M. Renfield from Bram Stoker's Dracula, who consumed live insects to obtain their life force. In terms of scene stealers, I don't have any. I instead watched this movie thinking about all the things I love about all of these actors, besides Aquafina, and I actually really would love to talk to Aquafina. I feel like she's a really great person, but I really want to talk to her. But I spent a lot of time thinking about why I love these actors and not being sucked into the film. So I have no scene stealers, but as I just suggested, those are all the things I would change about the film. But am I wrong? Am I writing this off? And I'm going really quickly through this, but I feel like there's not much to be said about this film, and part of me is just going with the idea of like letting this go and letting this be just a fun film that you don't have to think too much about. The other part of me is just really wanting there to have been more substance to the film that I could have grabbed onto, considering that we have Nicolas Cage being Dracula. That's just wild to me. But let me know. Anyways, please subscribe, and I will no longer do movies like this, or I'll watch more terrible movies and let you know what I think. Anyways, until next time, guys, I appreciate everything. Peace.